Hey everyone, this is Victoria English, top coach with Project 90. I'm so glad to be here with you today. It's really an honor to spend time with you and get to chat with you about one of my favorite subjects, alcohol. I think and talk a lot about alcohol, but in a very different way than I used to. And I'm grateful that, number one, I've come out on the other side of my experience with alcohol and that I have the gift of being able to help others. There are lies in this world, right? There are untruths, there are half-truths. And I think of all the lies in our lives, some of the ones that we most want to believe are the lies that we tell ourselves. I told myself, my friends, my family, a lot of lies about alcohol, about my drinking. Nobody really believed them. Sometimes they did. In the beginning, they did. And then they didn't. I never really believed them. I always knew deep down what the truth was, even as I was observing myself slipping further and further down into that pit that alcohol likes to have us in. Sometimes I even pushed away friends who really cared about me, who really loved me. As I've said before, most people didn't know that I had a problem. A couple of my very best friends did. They tried to help me, and I pushed them away. Maybe you've done the same. Well, I care about each of you who's struggling with alcohol, but ultimately, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to be a coach. And that sometimes involves saying some things that aren't always easy to say or easy to hear, but I say them with love and compassion. So we're going to talk about life is short and other lies today. But before we get started, the holidays are coming, and that means bargains. Well, Project 90 has an amazing bargain for you. It's FREE. It's free. You can get your hands on the alcohol freedom formula by going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. We work with high performers, people who have it together, who get stuff done, except for this alcohol thing. Has people kind of stumped as to how to get their head around it, how to solve this problem. And you're not meant to solve this problem by yourself. You're meant to be part of a team. So if you are one of those high performers and you're finding yourself going back and forth and trying to get a solution, you just found it. Go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide, get that alcohol freedom formula. Furthermore, if you're ready to get that power over alcohol that you hear James talk about, that you hear me talk about, that you hear our graduates talk about, then speak to me. Let's talk. You can have a one-on-one conversation with me about possibly joining Project 90. Just schedule a free call with me. Go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. You'll book a call, you and I will chat, and we'll see if we're a match. You've got nothing to lose. So get on it. I want to hear from you today, not tomorrow, today. I found a quote the other day that gave me a chuckle. Chris Rock said, some people say life is short and that you could get hit by a bus at any moment and that you have to live each day like it's your last. BS. Life is long and you're probably not going to get hit by a bus. And you're going to have to live with the choices you make for the next 50 years. For a comedian, that's some pretty heavy talk, but it's true. So many of us think that alcohol's fun. And in order to perpetuate that, we lie. We lie to ourselves. We lie to the people around us. And as I've said before, alcohol used to be super fun. Back in my 20s, even my 30s, alcohol was fun. Oh my gosh, we had a lot of great times. But We had a lot of great times. Alcohol just happened to be there. So I don't know. It was a chicken and egg situation. Back then, at my age, I could have had fun in a paper bag. But alcohol, we had good times. I mean, we were laughing and dancing and making jokes and laughing the next day about our antics. We hang on to that, don't we? Like that old Bruce Springsteen song, Glory Days. And there aren't a lot of things in life that we would let wear out their welcome the way we do alcohol, because we get so hung up on that. But it's fun. Well, if it's fun, you wouldn't be listening to this. If you're having such a good time with alcohol, you're not listening to a podcast about an alcohol-free lifestyle. You're having too much fun with your drinking. So there's a lot of lies we tell ourselves about alcohol. And one of the biggest is that it's fun. Because again, define fun. If fun is, feeling lousy in the morning and damaging your relationships and compromising your career, compromising your values, I don't know. Maybe we all need some new hobbies. So, okay, maybe you're thinking, okay, Victoria, fine. It's really not that fun. But I mean, it doesn't really have that many negative effects, right? Well, let's talk about that. If you ask someone, what are some negative effects of heavy drinking? They would say, kind of like a public service announcement, well, excessive alcohol use can damage relationships, compromise your career potential or productivity, and may contribute to a reduction in your overall quality of health. Well, that sounds very, very official, doesn't it? Relationships, work, and overall health sounds about as vague as the label on every alcoholic beverage, which states, drink responsibly. Again, I told you I was going to have other lies and jokes. These things are jokes. Drink responsibly. Here's the truth. This is a hard truth. By continuing to drink excessively, you are mortgaging your future. Tell me what else you would be willing to mortgage your future over. An investment, a financial investment, risky daredevil behavior? Would you be willing to mortgage your future over many things? Because here's a hard truth, and this is not a lie. By continuing to drink the way you do now, you are mortgaging your future. And I'll talk to you about why. People also say things like, but alcohol has some positive effects. Doesn't it help your heart health or something like that? You know what? That's a lie. The positive effects of alcohol are a load of garbage that you're being sold. Those studies that say, oh, people who have 1 to 3 drinks tend to live a longer life. That's not because they have 1 to 3 drinks per week. First of all, let's think about 1 to 3 drinks per week. If you're listening to this podcast, there's no way you're having 1 to 3 drinks per week. Come on. Or day, most likely. 1 to 3 drinks per week, those people live longer. Well, it's not because of the alcohol. It's because they have overall healthy lifestyles. They eat less processed food. They exercise regularly. They have things like family support and maybe faith or spirituality. All those things that, you've heard of those blue zones where people live so long. Yeah, they have those things. It is not that they live some garbage-filled life and then, they have the 1 to 3 drinks, and so they live a real long time. No, their whole life is fairly healthy. So if you are banking on that myth, you're buying into a lie. And like I said, we all know you're not having 1 to 3 drinks per week. You go up to 7 to 14 drinks per week. Think about that. 7 to 14 drinks per week. I've shared with you guys in the past, what is a drink? Well, one drink is one beer, a 5-ounce glass of wine. Who had a 5-ounce glass of wine? I was going for the 9-ounce pour for sure. In fact, I would avoid places with those tiny wine glasses. Who wants a tiny wine glass? Yeah, so a 5-ounce glass of wine or 1.5 ounces of liquor. So let's put that into perspective. If you drink a bottle of wine per night, you are ingesting 35 drinks a week. Anyway, I digress. 7 to 14 drinks a week. People who have that have an increased risk of heart attack, fatal aneurysms, heart failure, cancer, and Alzheimer's. That's not a whole lot of alcohol when you're talking about a problem drinker. Again, I speak from experience, and I wasn't that bad. I was one of those who said, well, I'm not that bad. At least I don't. Until I did. So 7 to 14 drinks, not that much. Those things are going to likely decrease your life expectancy. So as I said, you are mortgaging your future. You are having a direct impact on your life expectancy. Did you know that people who drink 25 or more drinks of alcohol per week are estimated to take 5 years off their life? I couldn't believe the data. I read this stuff all the time because it just fascinates me that this is not a major public health crisis, that this stuff isn't being shouted from the rooftops. You should have seen me when they were pushing alcohol on everyone during quarantine. Oh my God, what alcohol does to your immune system. And yet it was a free-for-all around the world, happy hour all around. You may have also heard my podcast episode on the link between alcohol misuse and mental health. Yeah, because the world needed more alcohol during a collective trauma like a pandemic, right? Oh, and Breast Cancer Awareness Month, saw a big fundraiser. Everyone was wearing pink, and a member was there, and she couldn't get her hands on a soda water or a mocktail anywhere throughout the whole event. Hundreds of people there, nothing but alcohol being served. Alcohol has a direct correlation to an increase in a woman's risk of developing breast cancer. Direct. That just came out in the past few years. Direct link. Boom. And yet you see people buying bottles of wine that have a pink ribbon on it. It's maddening, you guys. These are the lies that we're being told that you don't want to hear and that you need to hear, because I'm not doing my job if I don't say it. So I'll say it. I probably won't ever get a job as a marketer for an alcohol company. They wouldn't want me. I'm a handful. But someone's got to say it, and I will. And I'm a cancer survivor, so I can get away with saying quite a few things. So yeah, that's a hard truth. By the time we reach middle age, we have sadly probably all been affected by brain health problems in someone that we care about. And there aren't many things that are more sad or scary than Alzheimer's. So you see people popping fish oil and sprinkling turmeric on their food, and yet they ignore the one thing that could have the greatest negative effect on our memory, and that's alcohol. Each day there's a type of plaque that accumulates in your brain, and they think it has something to do with impairment of memory and ability to recall things. It interrupts those neurons, the messaging between them. The brain has an amazing natural way to get rid of that plaque each night while you're asleep. Except that when someone consumes a lot of alcohol, those pathways don't get cleared out as easily. Sometimes they can even stop working. And that leads to possible buildup of that plaque. And that increase in plaque is one of the main characteristics of Alzheimer's. They don't talk about that when they're advertising this garbage, do they? No, they don't. And I bet if you had an article about this pop up on your news feed, you'd skip over it because you don't want to hear it. You want to keep believing that lie. Maybe if I don't look at it, I won't know. Well, you heard it from me. And I've got the research. I look at this stuff too much. It hurts me to look at it because I did it to myself for a long time. And some people that I still care very much about are doing it to themselves. And it breaks my heart. I touched briefly on the cancer thing. Boy, there are so many links between cancer. And I touched on the breast cancer one. And that's hard because I'm a breast cancer survivor. My type of cancer, they think, was caused because I carry the BRCA1 mutation, meaning I was born with about a 75-80% chance of getting this crap. But so they don't know that my drinking contributed to it. I had stopped before I was diagnosed. But I remember saying to my doctor, did my drinking contribute to my cancer? And he said, well, your type of cancer isn't linked to alcohol use yet. It might be someday, but your drinking certainly compromised your immune system, which led you to be more open to the cancer flaring up and showing up when it did. It was probably going to show up anyway, but maybe it showed up sooner. That's something I have to live with. I probably would have gotten it anyway, but what if I hadn't? What if that 20-25% chance of not getting it was how the chips fell for me and I never had it? What if drinking did have something to do with it? I don't know. I mean, I have compassion for myself because I didn't know back then. They hadn't even really made the connection. If they did it, I don't think it'd been announced. Or maybe it had been announced and I didn't want to know. That's probably more likely. I didn't want to think about it. Just like you don't want to think about this until you have to, like I did. Until you have to think about it. That's the thing, you deal with your health now, or it's going to deal with you. You deal with these hard truths now, or those hard truths are going to deal with you. And when you are sick, you're going to remember these words. I hate to say it, you guys. I really do. You deal with alcohol, or it's going to deal with you. It's the nature of the beast. Here's another hard truth, another lie that you might be telling yourself. You're not just mortgaging your future, you are hurting your present. You are having a direct impact on your present quality of life. I used to say, well, if you had my life, you'd drink too. And I would joke. It was a joke, but it wasn't really a joke. Because I thought, well, I've got all this stress and all these kids and family drama and. What I didn't want to own was the role that drinking had in those problems. I thought that if I did enough in every other area of my life, that I could compensate for the damage I was doing. And when I say damage, I don't mean I was falling down, breaking glasses and, not getting up to get the kids to school and that, they never had fresh food in the house. No, I'm talking about being checked out, about being snappy, about being moody, about being reactive instead of intentional and mindful and thoughtful with how I went about my life. I was always stressed. I was always frantic. I was always up and down. And without alcohol, I probably wouldn't have been, not as much, And so that had an impact on my family. And it also piled on the problems. The problems just got bigger and bigger and more numerous, whether it was something big something happening with one of my kids, or something little like I forgot where I put my car keys again, or I can't find my credit card again. So I have to go in and online and update all my settings and order a card and cancel this and all that nonsense. You guys know what I'm talking about. But ultimately, it was a lie I told myself so that I would keep viewing alcohol as a reward and something I deserved. And if you're doing it, you're lying to yourself. You are compromising your present, and you're compromising the lives of the people around you. And if you think your family is okay with your drinking, they're not. They're not. They may not even tell you anymore. They may not bother telling you anymore, because what's it matter? You haven't done anything. You're not going to do anything about it. It matters. They're not okay with it. They're not. No family is. And just like I said about the things I used to do to try to make up for it, you can't make up for it. And you know what I was saying about the health thing? You can't out supplement or out nutrition the damaging effects of alcohol. You can't. You can't take enough fish oil. You can't drink enough green juice. Believe me, I tried. You can't drink enough green juice to weasel your way out of the damage you're doing to your body with alcohol. You can't. And here's the last lie that you are telling yourself about alcohol. Well, there's probably a lot more, but the last one I'm going to touch on today. The last lie is it's going to get better. There's a thing called the assumption gap. Have you ever heard of the assumption gap? Do you remember when you were a kid and maybe you went to a theme park, maybe Disney World, and you were a little kid and you wanted to go on a ride, let's say Space Mountain, and maybe you went with a friend, a cousin, an older sibling, and you go running up there and you realize, wow, I can't ride this ride. I'm not tall enough. That's disappointing, right? Remember being that kid, you couldn't make it through? Maybe you put some socks in your shoes, try to sneak in there. Okay, so that's disappointing. However, you know that next summer, if you go to Disney World, you are going to get to ride that ride. You know why? Because you know you're going to keep growing. You get taller. And next summer, you get to go and ride Space Mountain. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to think about it. You don't even have to talk about it. It just happens because you're a kid and you're growing. It's awesome. The assumption gap is what happens when we become adults and we assume that the gap between where we are and where we want to be is just going to happen. The way it does when we're kids. You know, you're in third grade, you learn certain things. Next year, you just kind of know new things because you're in the process of growth. It's not like that when we're adults. You have to work for it. Nothing just happens. So this alcohol thing is not just going to get taken care of. It's not just going to go away. And we're talking about a highly addictive substance that your brain and body are used to having. And when you take it away on your own, they're going to want it. You're going to want it. That's what alcohol does. It's not your fault. It's just the science of it. So this assumption gap, maybe you say it to yourself, maybe you say it to your friends, maybe you say it to your family. It's going to get taken care of. It's not going to get taken care of, you guys. It's not. If you don't do something now, in a year, you're going to be drinking more. In 5 years, where are you going to be in 5 years? Where will you be in 5 years if you keep drinking the way you are today? If you keep compromising your present and mortgaging your future, because that's what you're doing. Think about it. You know, in the old days, there was only one way to get alcohol free. Today, it's 2021, almost 2022. There are options. And it doesn't matter what path you find a path and get on it. Maybe ours is the path for you, maybe it isn't. But isn't it worth finding out? Well, I know it's worth finding out. This is a rhetorical question. It is worth it. You can't afford not to do this. So please book that call with me. Be considered for Project 90. See if you're a fit. If you're not, there are other resources. maybe that will be a fit. Like I said, there's more than one, but ours is pretty special. And I would love to find out if you would be the right fit for our community. So please go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Talk with me, Victoria, Coach V, as they call me in the program. Don't let alcohol take another day from you or your family or your health. It is not worth it, you guys. It is better on this side. If it weren't, I wouldn't be here, but I am. And I get to be that annoying friend you love to hate sometimes. Thanks for being here. I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I want to load you up with some free stuff. If you look in the show description, there's a link there to get my guide, which is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. And in that guide, I will walk you through the process and system for successfully reducing or quitting alcohol. It's the same system and process that I give to my clients inside of Project 90. And if you would like to get your hands on that guide, you can click the link in the description part of this episode, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Likewise, if you would like to be considered for Project 90 to join our community and get some accountability, some coaching, and have fun, achieve some goals over at least 90 days with our help and support, then you're invited to schedule a complimentary coaching call with one of my coaches. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description or going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Now, Project 90 is for over 30s only. And it's really for people who are ready to get long-term power over alcohol. You don't have to quit forever, but you will have to quit for at least 90 days with our support. Just a reminder, 95% of my content is free and plastered all over the internet. If you just Google James Swanwick and the word alcohol, you'll find that. For those of you who want additional support, if you want coaching, fun, accountability, if you realize that you can't do this on your own or you just plain don't want to, then I invite you to schedule that call and we can talk about if Project 90 is for you. If you would like to take some of my supplements, swanvitality.com is the website. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I have a liver support product called Loving Liver, which I designed and specially formulated to help remove toxins from your liver after years of alcohol consumption. Again, there's a link in the show description. We've also got a green powder there, which turns into a green juice filled with amazing ingredients to support you and give you energy throughout the day. And there's also a magnesium product which I take every night to help me prepare for sleep and to sleep through the night. So there's a few options there. Lastly, if this episode or the show in general has helped you or supported you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you would write a review. It really does help the show climb the rankings and expose the show to people who don't yet know about us. So if this show has benefited you in any way and you feel compelled to pay it forward, just writing a short little review, hopefully a nice one, will be so appreciated and I will thank you immensely. Lastly, if you'd like to talk to me about anything at all, feel free to send me an email at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I do read and respond to every email. And you can also follow me on Instagram at James Swanwick. Send me a message there. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Catch you on the next one.